Monty, you have been so instrumental in kind of pointing me in the right direction.
It was about looking at your character defects in spirituality.
It's the integration of clinical practices with the 12 steps.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of energy, and sometimes when you don't have so much energy, he picks you up and carries
Having
you.
the Monty man there certainly helps.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Now here's that guy who's getting less popular minute by minute. Your host, the Monty Man.
Yes, indeedy. Welcome aboard, all you scallywags and scallywaggles, to the Good Ship Recovery here at Take12Radio.com, sailing you forthright into the world of becoming a productive member of society. How the heck are you guys today, this week, huh? What's going on? Listen, we want to hear from you. Take12radio@comcast.net is our email address. And I want to share some good news with you when it comes to our cartoon caption contest. Check this out. We know that folks like you and me, addicts and alcoholics, we really like things kept simple. So I have answered the call. Some of you have said there are just too many rules and regulations when it comes to the cartoon caption contest. Well, I've made it very simple for you. If you go to Take12Radio.com, click on Recovery Cartoons, the first cartoon you will see does not have a caption. That's where you come in. We want what you think the caption should be. And instead of having to go to a page and read all sorts of rules and everything about the contest, we've made it very simple. There is a submission box right underneath the cartoon. All you got to do is type in what you think the caption should be, include your contact information, and click submit. How easy is that, right? No bunch of rules to read or anything like that. Just go ahead and put what you think should be in there. The one thing that we absolutely must adhere to, though, is no profanity, nothing that is racist or hate or any of that kind of stuff. All right. These are cartoons. Now the caption can be serious. It can be sad. It can be funny. Just because it's a cartoon doesn't mean it always has to be funny. So, come on, you guys know what's appropriate, and what isn't. Put in there what you think the caption should be, and you could win. And this year it is sponsored by Mark Lundholm, recovery comedian, and you will receive, if you're a monthly winner, you'll receive his live DVD, Addiction, a comedy of substance. And we're sending you a bonus CD, too. How is That Funny by Mark Lundholm. Check that out, and we appreciate him, Mark, being on our board of directors here at Take 12 Radio and offering that up. All right. There is a lot of buzz in the air about recovery on the internet. There has been for some time. There are different points of view about this. And, of course, you probably already know what my point of view is, because that's what we do here. Anonymity does not mean secrecy, my friends. And if you don't understand what anonymity means and what public relations policy means and all that kind of thing, I would encourage you to go to your 12-step fellowship's literature and read that stuff. There's a big misunderstanding about that. It's the public relations policy that's based on attraction rather than promotion, not our personal stories. And again, anonymity does not mean secrecy. And it is okay to share your story. You don't have to give up what fellowship you're a member of or act like you represent them or anything to share your story. Part of the reason that people don't understand that there's a solution is because we're hiding in the basements of our churches and meeting halls because we don't understand the anonymity tradition. It doesn't mean you keep your mouth shut to the general public. Okay, along those lines, in a way, I want to tell you about a website that I am extremely impressed with, and it actually, there's so much there that if you think that recovery is boring and you have nothing to do, first of all, if you are very busy and you don't find the time to do anything, you need to go there, because you're going to find stuff there that may just calm you down and let you get involved and entertained and informed. But if you really believe that you have nothing to do, let me tell you something. I got a solution for you. I want you to go to thefix.com. Let me tell you about The Fix. The Fix is the world's leading website about addiction and recovery, featuring a daily mix of breaking news, exclusive interviews, investigative reports, and essays on sober living. The Fixes also offer rigorously reported rehab reviews. I really like that, with input from thousands of alumni. Everything from, right now anyway, from a replica of the Oscar Award with a syringe and arm tied off to make a statement about drug addiction in Hollywood, to an article on Michelle Duggar revealing her battle with bulimia. News, features, culture, sober living, rehab reviews, reader forums, pro voices, resources, hot topics, all at thefix.com. My guest this week is Jay Levin. He is the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix. Jay, welcome to Take 12 Radio, my friend.
Well, thank you, Marty. I appreciate it.
Wow. You guys have done such a bang-up job. I am just incredibly impressed. In fact, everybody here at KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is just blown away by the Fix website. But before we talk about it specifically, though, can you give us just a little bit of background on who Jay is?
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong journalist. I'm best known I'm in Los Angeles. So I'm best known as the founder of the LA Weekly newspaper here, which I sold some years ago. LA Weekly, when I was running it, we grew to be the largest urban weekly of its kind in the country. I've worked in creatively in television and magazines and a number of websites, and I was also in my career. I had a period in which I decided to become a life coach because of my interest in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And so I split my time for some years after I sold the weekly between media development and life coaching, and I worked with quite a number of people who were had substance abuse problems. So I've got both a journalistic background here and a one-on-one handful of more than a handful of experiences with people in recovery. I've also had some in my own family. I've had some learning about serious addiction. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got all this experience behind you, and have really tackled a lot of things. Why The Fix? So what happened? How did this thing get started?
Well, this thing got started in 2011 by a group in New York who a fellow named Mayer, who and a fellow named Joe Schrank, is my understanding from what I've learned in recently.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the idea that the community needed a place for news, information, etc. Just exactly what you described in the before in your reading of our mission statement. So they did a bang up job on the editorial side. They created a real gem. And then but unfortunately they didn't have the business side together, and so they went into bankruptcy. And the company I'm involved with took it out of bankruptcy, acquired it, and took it out of bankruptcy in October. And we, at that point, it had been dormant for four and a half months, and no new editorial put up, but it still maintained an audience. And since then, we started beginning in early December. we started back up with a new team, mostly a new team, myself and the former managing editor, or executive editor, I'm sorry, Jim Georgiadis. And we've, with a very ambitious plan to honor what was there before and grow it beyond where it was before. So that's what we're doing. We've already tripled circulation. We're up past 600,000 at this point, and kind of usage it. And we haven't even yet launched our redesign and expansion, which are going to include a lot of new sections and new features, new information sources, new abilities for people to communicate with each other through our service. So that's the history.
Right. And how'd they come up with the name The Fix? I mean, it's a play on words, right?
It's a play on words. Yeah, I wasn't there. I'm not privy to that.
Yeah.
It's a good play on words. It works.
Yeah, it does. It does. Well, there's a lot of buzz going around about you guys. I attend some of the most well attended addiction symposiums from West Coast to East Coast. And a lot of the movers and shakers are saying a lot about The Fix.
That's great.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes we do stuff. We get into service. We're helping our fellows, and we get so busy doing it, and we don't always hear what people are saying. And I'm telling you, man, there is just a lot of positive stuff being said. Now
that's great.
I know it can be controversial. Have you run into any of that? Anybody maybe not so happy about this kind of thing that is surrounded around recovery and addiction?
Well, mostly because the stance of The Fix is we're a community service. Mm-hmm. So our bias is not towards any one ideology or one statement, right. Like the fights within AA and the fights within AA and NA, etc. All that dialogue and all that controversy, we provide a home for. So it's a place that people can come, state their cases, read about elements from both sides of this. There's so many remarkable personal voices up there. And just get a feel for not only the larger debate around it, but also people's experience, one-on-one personal experiences around it. When we do straight journalism, what we're looking at is just taking issues that Suboxone, drug enforcement, etc., and the larger policy issues, and rather than just providing a voice for the readers, they can comment, but we're trying to provide hard information and feedback that's going to help people. So beyond that, we think we have a responsibility to keep the larger public informed. We have four basic audiences. One is people in recovery. Another is their families. A third, people in recovery or seeking recovery. A third is professionals, the professional community, people with a lot of expertise who, offer that expertise up and come there, and also come there because the personal experiences they're reading about are really helpful for them in their practices. I've heard a lot of people I know and say, this is really wonderful. I get so many insights into my own clients because of what I'm reading there from these extraordinary well-written pieces you get from people who are experiencing one or another level of and the fourth audience is the general public, which tends to come there because 25% of the country is involved in some kind of addiction, drug addiction. We also cover things beyond just substance abuse.
Right.
So we're going to be expanding that coverage because it comes from the same emotional base.
You bet.
So it's medicating. We all understand medicating.
Yes, we do. And these things are outward manifestations of an inward condition, regardless of whether it's a narcotic, whether it's food, whether it's overspending. I knew a lady, Jay, that was literally addicted to gossip. I mean, it was ruining all of her friendships, her family life. She could not stop.
Yeah, well, the obsessive compulsive nature of the emotional development that goes into a lot of drug addiction. I mean, it's not healthy people. Normal basis can get addicted because of the chemical properties. So,
sure.
The big problem with prescription drugs now, and painkillers, is that they'll turn you into addicts no matter what your emotional base.
You bet.
So there's those two different realities and communities. But for the large part, the before the prescription opiates came into effect, the association with treatment and recovery was we're treating an underlying emotional disease that becomes a physically oriented disease once those chemicals are in your body, right?
Yeah.
So our job is simply to cover all of this and make clear the distinctions and open to the general public a more compassionate, wiser way of policy towards addiction, towards the individuals who have addictive problems, issues, and also cover new treatment modalities and keep people apprised of that, and to some degree we can keep them. Give them information about the quality of the treatment centers that are out there and the quality of the treatments out there, what's effective, what's not effective, even knowing that not everything works for everybody.
You bet. Well, Jay, we're going to take a break. Folks, my guest, Jay Levin, he is the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix. The website is thefix.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Origins Recovery Centers provides integrated inpatient treatment for substance abuse and co-occurring disorders. At Origins, clients receive expert medical, clinical, and spiritual care individually designed for their needs. Our clients leave Origins with the foundation upon which they will build the rest of their lives. Call now to speak with an admissions specialist. Our toll-free number is 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Hey, it's Artie Kornfeld, and you're listening to Take 12 Radio, Recovery Talk, and Positive Music.
All right, and we have returned Jay Levin, the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix at thefix.com, is our guest this week. Jay, is The Fix a website only, or is there a printed hard copy of this?
No printed hard copy. There is we have a video channel on YouTube, but it's sorely neglected, so I'm not recommending. We've got to do some work on it.
Yeah. Now people can subscribe to The Fix so they get information in their email. True.
Yeah, they get a newsletter about what's coming up and a reminder about the highlights of the week, what we've just run, and what's coming up. That's the newsletter. But we're going to be expanding that with our relaunch or revamp, more a revamp. And among the services we're going to be offering is daily news feeds. Choices of including topics you want to have the news feeds come to you through your email. So there'll be more reasons to sign up. We'll also be doing a bunch of contests that will engage people.
Great, awesome. One of the things that I really liked on there, and I alluded to this in the introduction, was the rehab reviews from alumni that have gone through different rehab centers. Are the reviews always positive?
No, not at all. Not only that, but you can read the comments on the reviews below them. So they're not always positive. We get they're done by combination of direct outreach to people who've been in the centers, to the centers, and then invitations for people to comment on the centers. So and there's a fellow journalist who specializes in this area, who compiles the reviews.
One of the things that you guys do too is there's a place where you can start your own discussion, I believe. Isn't that right?
There's a forum. Yeah, we put up topics for a forum.
Right.
But ideally in 30 to 60 days, probably closer to 60 days, we're going to be expanding the opportunities there. We want to create a section that allows for people to help each other. And we're working through what that'll look like and how people can communicate directly.
So it really has a networking element to it.
Yeah, networking and an online networking bulletin board, kind of beyond the forum, beyond debating issues.
Right.
The forum is here's an issue, etc., and people respond. But we want to have people allow for more personal contact.
You bet.
Again, cross fertilization.
Right now, there is. It's really interesting, and I thought, wow, this is going to be. When I heard about this the other day, I heard about this through other sources, and then I saw it on the Fix. The story about the life-size replica of the Oscar Award with folks, if you go to thefix.com, you can see a picture of it right now. Oscar's got his left arm tied off, and he's got a syringe in the other hand. And this was to make a statement about drug abuse in Hollywood, and more recently, of course, the death of one of Hollywood's, really wonderful actors. And I saw that, and I thought to myself, because and this is what any good publication does, in one way or the other, either you're ticked off by it, or you think it's great or whatever, but you are pulled in by it, so you read the article. And I thought you guys did an excellent job with that. And then the other end of the spectrum is the story about Michelle Duggar and revealing her past battle with bulimia. I mean, talk about one extreme to the other. In the eyes of, dare I say, the normal world, addicts and alcoholics, and when I say addicts, that's a broad brush, because it isn't just mean narcotics. We get it. We understand, the person who's slamming dope and the person that's abusing their eating practices. We understand that there's something going on that is similar. But just I just wanted to say congratulations. I mean, to cover that spectrum was really well done. You guys did a bang up job. Where do you get your writers?
Well, let's see. We inherited a group of writers from the previous owners, and they had, as I said, they created gems, so they did a beautiful job in the world.
Right.
Which I truly appreciate, both personally and it makes my job easier, and just generally on a social basis, because it's a great gift to the world what they did. And so we inherited a group of writers that we've formed a base, and then each of us as editors has been recruiting and knows writers, and we've been bringing them in, and we've done an outreach for writers and freelance writers. We just did another outreach. We got more than 300 people wanting to write for the site. So
wow.
One little ad and one little journal on a freelance basis. And while we pay, our rates aren't the highest in the world, but I think it's good for writers to be there because, one, they get to work with really great editors. I have wonderful staff, and then and also because it's a vehicle for that people respect. So if you get to put a piece on the Fix and you get to be known there, you can develop a reputation that help you with other other venues.
How careful do you have to be with what you print? I mean,
well, it's just the basic libel laws. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing more careful. I mean, we're not in the business of libeling people, but we expect to do. We have already done some substantial investigative journalism. We're cranking up to do a lot more. So on that front, we don't have to be careful. We only have to be careful that we're factually based and not libeling anybody. On careful about allowing people to express themselves. I mean, we allow a huge latitude in that regard. You know, as long as it has a ring of authenticity and appeal. So we don't much worry about social norms, language norms, etc. What we're capturing is the poetic, deep, soul-felt reality. We're hoping to capture, and often do, the deep, soul-felt reality, poetic reality of people's lives, and the way they express themselves in their communities. Some of the writing is really just top of the line in those personal essays.
You bet. Now, do you have folks that go out on the field and do interviews, take pictures? How does that work?
If we sign a lot of, especially with our features. So we just ran one this week about neurofeedback, for example, as a really revisiting neurofeedback, because it's been around for decades, but it's been being perfected, and so certainly the reporter went out in the field to 2 different treatment centers. Interviewed a bunch of people. So where it's called for, people go out in the field, not just get their information on the phone.
How many people are on staff at the Fix?
Well, let's see. We've got an editorial staff of 6 people, myself included.
Right.
Backed up by 3 or 4. Right, I think we now have 4 part-time interns, editorial interns, doing background stuff, and we have a business side staff of ad staff, sales staff of a couple of people, and we have a backroom. The company has a backroom staff that handles, H&R. And making sure everybody gets paid.
Now, does everybody that works at the Fix, are they all in Southern California, or are they spread out?
No, we're spread out. We've got William, our features editor, is in New York. He had the role of executive editor in the previous management, and so he deals with a lot of people, obviously, from New York. I am the news editor and our senior editor in Los Angeles, and we also have an editor, and believe it or not, an editorial person now becoming an editorial assistant, graduating editor in North Carolina. So we're a bit spread out.
Yeah. Okay, Jay, we're going to take our last.
We have some contract editors around in different places.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. We're going to take our last break, and when we come back, I have a question for you about Southern California in particular. Folks, my guest, Jay Levin, the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix, when we come back.
Men, women, and their families experience tremendous pain and suffering due to the struggles they face from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. They need to find a safe place for peace and healing. Therapia Addiction Healing Center was born out of a deep desire to provide that safe and powerful healing environment. Therapia exists to help people recover from addictions by developing and maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships with God, self, and others. To speak with an addiction specialist, call 1-855-652-4325. That's 1-855-652-4325. Or visit our website at www.therapia.net. Therapia Addiction Healing Center, restoring lives one step at a time.
When I first came to Serenity Springs, I never thought I could stay clean and sober. And then after being through the 12 steps and getting closer to God and just learning how to live, I can't imagine life with drugs and alcohol anymore.
Introducing Serenity Springs Recovery Center, a fully licensed residential drug and alcohol dependence treatment center for men, specializing in helping individuals with substance abuse problems. Addiction is a disease that deteriorates the body, punishes the mind, and destroys the spirit. Addiction needs to be attacked on all three of these fronts.
They work the steps, they work them extremely hard. Finding God is a big part, and that's what they did for me. They gave me a life second to none.
Residents live in resort-style accommodations and are able to participate in numerous on-site activities.
Golf and working out, playing basketball a lot.
Serenity Springs is a unique facility that is committed to providing exceptional individual care in small group settings.
They talk about life beyond your wildest dreams. I never thought that was possible for me, and today I'm living it.
And just being connected, guys are like my brothers, just a big family.
At Serenity Springs, they want to make a life-changing investment into your recovery. For more information, contact their 24-hour admissions department at 386-423-4540 or visit their website at serenityspringsrecovery.com.
It's really amazing what's happened. I mean, it's nothing short of a miracle.
All right. It's good to have you all with us. Don't forget our email address, take12radio@comcast.net. Please check it out. Write us. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Fire slings and arrows if you wish. That's fine with us. Just speak to us, would you please? Our website, if you're on a portable device or your smartphone, is take12radio.com. You can type in the whole word or just the number and take you to the same place. All right. Thefix.com, a magnificent website. Jay Levin is the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix. Jay, before the break, I said I wanted to talk to you about something about the Southern California area, and this is what it is. In the 9 years that we've been broadcasting, one of the things that I noticed about people's extracurricular activities within the recovery community. What I mean by that is recovery concerts, benefits, fundraisers, sporting events, whatever. Things that are outside of the general 12-step meeting or service convention. And what I noticed in my travels, because we take the show on the road a lot, is on the East Coast of the U.S., I mean, all you have to do is mention recovery concert or recovery event other than a meeting, and man, I mean, you could put that thing on and hundreds of people are going to show up. I mean, they're just always doing something. And the further out west we got, there seemed to be less and less activity other than 12-step meetings and service conventions, with the exception of Southern California, which has like the Sober Music Fest. It has the Musicians Picnic, and there's a lot of stuff going on down there. Have you found that to be true?
Well, on a personal level, I have no information about that.
Yeah.
On a journalism level, the community. What I'm learning as I go along is that the community that fostered the Fix, right?
Right.
New York-based community that fostered Fix, is very intensely organized and thinking around. Maybe because it's a more dense city and people get together more often and it's easier to get together, but thinking more around the question of communications and creating chances to network and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the establishment there is quite strong around that. And one of the major differences, another difference between the West Coast and the East Coast, is that the West Coast, or certainly Los Angeles area, has extraordinary more ranges of alternative healing and spiritual healing and things like that going on. So that would tend to mitigate against these things. But that said, while the things are not big, I have noticed that learned and just over time watching this, watching that scene, that there are smaller things going on all the time. There's little workshops, there's smaller gatherings. Probably don't make the media. So I think it possibly has to do with the density of things, the fact that people have a lot of options out here,
right?
And the fact that mindset out here is it's just in general, it's harder to create gatherings, big major gatherings around where people have to travel, et cetera, and deal with the traffic and all those issues.
Yeah.
So that's not a scientific answer, but it's the best I can do.
Well, no, I get it. I get it. And I know there's more and more going on in Southern California all the time. And one of the things that has helped is this movie, Anonymous People. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, no, we have a feature on it.
Yeah. That is something that there's a lot of controversy going on around it amongst 12-steppers. I mean, you see people say, "Oh, they're breaking traditions," and some people say, "Get over it," and that kind of thing. But this movie's made a big splash, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, certainly within the community, it's made a splash. And
yeah,
people are talking about it out here as well as in New York for sure.
Right.
As well as around the country. Yeah, because it's a core, it's a fundamental issue. And one of the things that I've learned since I've been with the site is that people in recovery take their recovery seriously and bring all their all their tendencies towards I found the way, and this way will work, and that way will work, because that's what people do when they go into when they get attached to any kind of treatment modality. Sure. So it's a universal psychological phenomenon, and we all become cultists at some point when we go into any healing. My healing is better than yours. This is working. It should be for everybody, and this is the only way to do it. It's part of what actually has to be healed. Part of if you successfully completed all 12 steps and found that range of enlightenment, you'll let go of that stuff. But there you go. It's there, and so it creates, debates, dimensions. It's like all the debates within the community. It's another facet of it, and so our job is to make a space for it.
Right.
So we have a feature out there.
Okay. So your audience that you're targeting is people seeking recovery, families, professionals, and the general public. And you folks have done a bang-up job with this. I congratulate you. I'm so impressed. And
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And listeners, please visit thefix.com. We have a link to that website on our website here on the Friday page. And we will also be placing permanently a text link on all of our major shows Monday through Sunday, Jay, for the fix, because we want people to.
Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, we want to do that for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jay, news articles, newsworthy stuff, new featured stuff that's coming up. Without disclosing anything you can't disclose, is there something coming up down the pike that is a big story?
Well, there are areas we're looking at big stories, and yes, the big stories I can see two levels of big stories. We're really into looking at closer looks at alternative treatment modalities and what might be working, what's working faster than not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one area we're interested. And secondly, we're interested in, how the culture and the society, the culture, and the political instruments of government are approaching the entire mass phenomenon of addiction here, right? And
right.
Where it's coming and where it's going. So we have big stories coming in on where the conservative movement is, changes within the conservative movement about this. We have big stories coming in about how certain forces in the society, including prison guard unions, bail bondsmen, etc.
Wow.
And certain right-wing organizations pump up the laws to get more people put into jail, and spend more time there, and lean against treatment. We have stories coming at the establishment money, like banks and things, profiting off of drugs and drug treatment and both drugs, but one end on drugs and the other end on drug treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got stories coming up looking at people looks at some of the behaviors of Big Pharma. So that's sort of the investigative side, and then, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be opening up coverage of, in a deeper way, of other addictions, and food, all the obvious ones, and we're going to be looking more at the tie, both the social and the emotional tie-ins to all addiction, where it comes from. So we've been covering sex, a fair amount of sex addiction. It's probably stepped up porn, food, tobacco, you name it, and trying to make a distinction between compulsive behaviors and what's addiction.
Right.
And we're also going to be looking at healing modalities for the underlying emotional basis. So, which include obviously depression, anxiety, all those things, and what people can do about those elements of it, separate from the physical addictions.
Right. Because the truth of the matter is, some people just need to grow up, get some basic life skills, get some a good direction, and they're on their way. Other people who have the obsession and the compulsion and all that stuff need some deeper work. And one of the things that I would argue it basically comes from the same source. Which I learned in the products I created. I created a bunch of classes and as a life coach. People can go to jaylevin.com and listen to some of them. They're really cheap. But the core of it is basically a societal order and a way of child rearing and a way of people treating each other that's fairly primitive. And that's why it affects such a huge segment of the population. It has many, many manifestations. And the basic rules of it are: we are maltrained, not well trained, but we're really badly trained, mistrained in dealing with our inner lives, how to deal with the things that come up with us innerly, and then how to relate to others and their inner lives. So we create a way of a context for a healthy society and healthy individuals. First, healthy individuals and healthy society. So our child rearing is evolving, thank God, finally. But we still have nuclear weapons poised, and we're willing to commit ecocide, and we're all fighting each other here in Russia and Crimea and all this garbage. But it all has basically a source in how evolution to date has finally provided some great tools, but that they're not mass adopted
and we need to relearn how to manage our own inner lives from childhood on, because that's where it starts. And we need, and the learnings are there. There's great programs for children in schools on emotional management, relationships, conflict resolution. You can start kids out at any age on that stuff and develop them into really healthier, stronger human beings. But we don't have that on the mass level. So most of what we experience is medicating the pain we experience from not having the skills to deal with our inner lives and our relational lives with others. So it's a training.
Yeah.
We've got to upgrade our level of training.
Yeah, you bet. I couldn't agree with you more. I was sitting in a board meeting of a rather large organization that is centered back east, and the CEO asked, there was probably about 30, 40 people there. He said, do you think that the stigma of addiction that surrounds around addiction has gotten better? And several people commented, and they all seemed to think that it had. And then the CEO says, I don't agree. I think it's worse than it ever was. Because, and one of the guys said, well, I mean, look at Facebook. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's accepting it, and social media and so forth. And what the CEO said, yes, but we're still just talking to each other. One of the things, and I'm not sure what my stand on that is, but one of the things that I'm so impressed about the fix that you talked about was one of the target audiences, the general public. And when you do something like what the fix is doing, that's attractive to the general public, it helps to bring down the walls of stigma. And so I think
it's one of the missions of the fix, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
A credible mission of the fix. Yeah, break down those walls.
Yeah, you bet. Because, gosh, there's just so much stigma going. And quite frankly, people are tired of us addicts and alcoholics. They really are. They're tired of their houses getting broken into. They're tired of having to pay out of their own pocket for people coming into the ER, not paying their bills, throwing up on the nurse's shoes. They're tired of it. I get it. I understand that. But by the same token, throwing our hands up and saying, well, screw you, isn't going to help the problem, is it?
Never has.
No, never has.
Hardly has.
Oh, man.
But that's I appreciate that. It's a good story idea. I'll put a report on researching, see if there's any research data or poll data around.
Yeah.
Is it more stigmatized or less stigmatized? Actually,
yeah.
People's attitudes are.
Well, and with the dragon rearing its ugly head in so many different forms. I mean, right now we're getting bombarded with the illegal use of prescription medication, particularly opiates, and young people are going from popping pills because they're so expensive to actually going back to heroin because it's cheaper. 5 years down the road, it might be inhalants again. That might be the thing that rears its ugly head. There seems to be, and with those things always comes a certain amount of stigma, just because of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, the social order stigmatizes crime and stigmatizes people, and it's part of our judgmental natures and or judgmental training. It's not our natures; it's judgmental training. It's a toxic
what we're taught,
or it's implanted in us, but it has profound consequences. And so stigma is something that's out there. But I probably the country is very uneven. My guess on issues. I think there's elements that are more conscious and growing more conscious, and there's still stubborn elements. But the fact that we're seeing even a little bit of positive movement in the among conservatives, right wingers, is teabaggers is helpful. People
you bet.
Beginning to say, well, maybe we need to reconsider this social order that
right.
buried in lots of other ways. Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Jay, thank you for taking the time to come on the show and share.
Oh, my
what
pleasure.
you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Monty. I really, I do appreciate it. It's good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners in closing?
No, I just want to invite them to come to the Fix. Send us ideas, send us suggestions. There's an editor's box, editor@thefix.com. You can just email. Give us your feedback. Tell us what we could do better and where we could relate better. Dive into the conversations. If you want to comment on any of there's lots of comment space after every article. There's comment space. So dive in where you think appropriate, and help enliven and enrich the community. That would be great.
Yeah, you bet. And I'm telling you, folks, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're bored, I mean to tell you, you go to this website, thefix.com. There is so much there. You won't have time to do anything else. It is magnificent.
Yeah, people get lost for hours in it. I know. And they say, "Oh my God, you just cost me a whole day."
Yeah, I know. But what a great day. I mean, to be have your nose into something like that. That is awesome. All right, Jay, don't hang up, Jay. Stay on the line as we close out the show, folks. The web address is very simple, thefix.com. You can follow the links here at Take 12 Radio. Jay Levin, the publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix, has been our guest. My thanks to him for taking the time to do that, and to all our sponsors. And remember the cartoon caption contest. Would you please go to take12radio.com, click on Recovery Cartoons. It's made very simple for you, so you can win. And by the way, even if you don't win a monthly prize in the cartoon caption contest, you are put into the drawing for a huge recovery gift basket that we're giving away in December, in the beginning of December, so you can use the stuff that's in that for Christmas presents or keep it yourself. Please don't miss out on that. All right, Jay Levin again, publisher and editor-in-chief for The Fix. Go to thefix.com. Folks, until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man, and I'm wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.